All right, so you know how you're always talking about wanting to like really dive into language learning? Well, today's deep dive is going to be right up your alley.
Oh, yeah.
We're basically going to be shadowing this guy named Alex
Oh?
as he's on this journey to learn English.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because we're actually analyzing an episode of an English language learning podcast.
Oh, right on.
So it's like a podcast within a podcast.
Yeah.
But this one is actually structured like a story.
Interesting.
It's about his travels.
I like it.
And so we get to see him grapple with real life situations.
So it's not just like textbook stuff?
No, it's like out in the wild.
That's where the magic happens.
Exactly. And it's going to be so relatable, I think, for anyone who has ever like tried to speak a new language.
For sure.
Especially in a country where it's spoken.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So our mission today is to really kind of extract these golden nuggets about how we learn and connect when we're outside of our comfort zones. It's there. Okay, so we're going to follow Alex's adventure chronologically.
Okay.
Starting at the airport.
Right.
He's about to fly to the United States for the first time.
Exciting.
Okay, so picture this.
Okay.
He's at the airport saying goodbye to his family, and he gets that classic airport send-off, have a nice flight.
Right, classic line.
And Alex being like eager to show off his English skills. He's like, you too.
Ooh, no.
Which of course makes no sense at all.
Not in that context, no.
Because the airport staff are not going anywhere.
Right.
But it's so classic, I think.
It is, yeah. And it's like, it just shows how our brains, under pressure sometimes, can just go to these like default responses.
Totally.
Without really thinking.
It's like you're on autopilot.
Autopilot, exactly.
And you just blurt out something, and sometimes it's not appropriate.
Not quite right.
But what I thought was interesting is even though he made that mistake, he didn't let it derail him.
Good.
He just like kept going.
That's important.
Yeah. And, you know, simple thank you would have sufficed.
Yeah.
But even with the fumble, he moved on.
He did. Yeah, that's a key takeaway right there.
Right.
We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Oh, totally.
But we can't let them paralyze us.
Yeah.
We just got to keep going.
Okay, so he dusts himself off.
Okay.
And heads to security.
All right.
And this is where things get a little... whoa.
What happened?
Sticky.
The liquids.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The liquids conundrum.
Right. The security officer asks him, do you have any liquids in your bag?
Yeah.
And you can practically hear the gears turning in his brain.
I can imagine. He's like, yes. No.
Oh.
And then he finally manages to sputter out just water.
He got there eventually.
Sure, he did.
So this is a classic case of like what we call a vocabulary hurdle. Okay. It's not just about like knowing the word liquid.
Right.
It's about understanding how it functions in that context. And being able to retrieve it quickly when you're under pressure.
Right, because let's be honest.
Yeah.
Airport security is stressful enough.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Even in your native language.
Absolutely.
So I can only imagine trying to do it in a language.
Right.
That you're still learning.
Yeah, you've got that added layer of stress.
Totally. But I think what struck me here is that even though he struggled, he didn't give up.
That's good.
He kept trying different ways to communicate. And eventually he got his point across.
That's good for him.
And I think that speaks to the power of
what's that?
Context clues.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you don't understand every word. Our brains are so good at filling in the gaps.
Right. They use the surrounding information.
Yeah. Body language.
Exactly. Tone of voice.
All of
it's amazing what our brains can do.
It is. And I think a lot of language learners underestimate the importance of context.
Yeah, they get so focused on the words.
Yes.
On like memorizing lists and lists of vocabulary.
Yes.
And they forget about the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Like how those words actually function in real conversations.
Right. And Alex's experience shows us that even with a limited vocabulary, you can still communicate.
Right.
If you use those clues.
Yes, use your surroundings.
Is your advantage.
Just absolutely.
And I think another important factor here is his willingness to just keep trying.
Yes, I love that about him.
He doesn't let that initial anxiety or embarrassment shut him down.
Totally.
He has a goal to get through security.
He's got to get on that plane.
He's got to get on that plane.
Yeah.
And he just keeps pushing forward.
That's the spirit.
Even when he feels a little flustered.
It's tough, but he does it.
Yeah.
Good for him.
And that kind of persistence, I think, is essential
in
any learning process.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Right.
Yeah.
So what can we as language learners, or just people trying to navigate new situations, learn from Alex's experience at security?
I'm curious. What do you think?
Well, I think besides the fact that liquids can be a tricky word.
Yeah, it can be.
I think it really highlights the importance of
What's that?
Developing strategies for managing anxiety.
Oh, yeah, because let's face it,
it's going to happen.
It's part of the process.
You're going to feel anxious.
Especially when you're putting yourself out there in a new language.
So instead of trying to avoid it or suppress it, we need to find ways to work with it.
Exactly. We need to find ways to make it work for us.
So what are some techniques that you recommend for those moments when the pressure's on?
Well, one technique that I find particularly helpful is focused breathing.
Okay.
Just taking a few deep breaths can actually slow down your heart rate and help you regain a sense of calm.
Interesting.
And it's something you can do discreetly, even in like a busy airport security line.
Yeah, no one's going to know what you're doing.
Exactly.
You just look contemplative.
Right.
I also think positive self-talk can be helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of beating yourself up over the mistakes, you can reframe them as opportunities for growth.
Love that.
So you can tell yourself, hey, I'm learning. I'm making progress. It's okay to make mistakes along the way.
Absolutely.
It's all about that growth mindset.
It is. It's essential for language learning.
Yeah, and I think Alex really embodies that.
He does. He's a great example of that.
He doesn't let those little fumbles discourage him.
Nope.
He picks himself up, dusts himself off, and he keeps moving forward.
That's what we like to see.
And that's the spirit.
It is. So he's made it through security.
He has.
And he finds his seat.
Yeah, thanks to a very patient flight attendant.
Oh, that,
helping him find his row.
Those seat numbers can be tricky.
Especially on a big plane.
Yeah, and he settles in.
Okay.
For what he hopes will be a smooth flight.
All right, so he's in his seat.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
So his seatmate, a friendly woman named Sarah, turns to him and says, are you traveling for vacation?
All right, simple question.
Now, Alex could have just said yes.
Yeah.
And left it at that.
Right.
But instead, he says, kind of. I want to learn English and see some places.
Wow, look at that.
I love that he added that little detail.
I know, right?
About wanting to learn English.
It's like he's inviting her into his world.
Totally.
Making her part of his journey.
Even if it's just for a few hours on this flight.
I love that.
It's so cool.
It is, yeah. And it's a great way to, open up a conversation.
Totally.
And you can see how she responds.
Yeah.
She's instantly engaged.
Yeah, she's like, oh, really?
Yeah, and she asks him about his travel plan. And he's like, well, I'm planning to visit New York and Los Angeles.
Wow.
Pretty ambitious.
I know, right?
First-time visitor to the U.S.
He's going all out.
He is.
That's great.
And notice how he's already using...
What's that?
Future tense verbs. Like wanna go, planning to visit.
He's taking those grammar lessons and putting them into practice.
In real life.
That's what it's all about.
It's amazing.
It is. And even though he stumbles a few times.
Yeah, he has to search for the right words.
That's normal.
But he doesn't let that stop him.
He keeps going.
He keeps the conversation flowing.
This is great.
Yeah, and I think this is a good example of what we call active versus passive vocabulary. So passive vocabulary is like all the words that we understand when we hear them or read them. But active vocabulary is the words that we can actually use confidently.
Yeah, in our own speech and writing.
Yeah. So Alex might understand the question, what are your plans?
Right.
But it takes a little more effort.
Yes.
To actually retrieve those verbs and construct a grammatically correct sentence.
Absolutely.
And the more we practice using those words and phrases in real conversation, the stronger our active vocabulary becomes.
It's like a muscle.
Totally.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Exactly. And speaking of muscles, I think Alex is really flexing his conversational muscles here.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He even tells Sarah that he's a bit nervous about speaking English.
Which is, kind
of vulnerable.
Yeah, to admit to a stranger.
Yeah.
But I think it's also a really smart move.
It is.
Because acknowledging your anxieties, rather than trying to hide them, can actually make you more relatable.
Totally.
And put others at ease.
Yeah, it shows you're self-aware.
Exactly.
And that you're not taking yourself too seriously.
And You can see how Sarah responds.
Oh, she's so encouraging.
She is. She's great.
She's like, you're doing great. Your English is very good.
Yeah.
And it's just a reminder that most people are happy to help when they see that you're genuinely trying.
It's true.
And I think this interaction highlights the importance of
what's that?
Finding those supportive language partners.
No, yeah, those are crucial.
They might be teachers or tutors, friends, or even just strangers you meet on a plane.
Totally.
Like Sarah.
Like Sarah, exactly.
And having someone like that who's not only a native English speaker, but also just a friendly and encouraging person can make a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely. It can make all the difference.
In your confidence and your motivation.
For sure. And, finding those people isn't always easy.
No.
It might take some trial and error.
Yeah.
Awkward conversations.
It's part of the process.
It is. And, you might have some moments of self-doubt where you feel like, am I really making any progress? But when you find those people, it's like...
It's magic.
It is. It's magical.
Yeah.
So what do you think Alex is learning from this interaction with Sarah?
I think he's learning that making mistakes isn't the end of the world.
Good.
In fact, it's an essential part of the learning process.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and he's not letting that fear of making a mistake paralyze him.
He's embracing it.
He is.
He's like, bring on the mistakes.
Yeah, he's like, this is how I learn.
That's the spirit.
And he's also realizing that...
What's that?
Most people are much more forgiving.
They are.
Than we give them credit for.
Yeah, they're not sitting there like analyzing every word, judging our grammar.
Yeah.
They just want to connect.
They want to have a conversation.
Exactly.
And that's such an important lesson, not just for language learning, but for life in general.
I love that.
We all make mistakes.
We do.
We all have moments of awkwardness.
It's part of being human.
And it's okay.
It is.
In fact, those moments are often the ones that teach us the most.
They're the ones we learn from the most.
So Alex has survived the airport.
He has.
The liquids.
The liquids.
And now this surprisingly pleasant conversation.
Oh, nice.
With his seatmate.
Yeah.
He's feeling pretty good about himself.
As he should.
He's starting to relax, enjoy the flight.
Yeah.
And anticipate all the exciting adventures that await him.
In the Big Apple.
In New York City.
I'm excited for him.
But there's still one more challenge. He has to conquer before he can truly embark on his American adventure.
All right, what's that?
Customs and immigration.
Oh, yeah.
Dun.
That can be a little daunting.
Okay, so we're back with Alex.
He's made it to the U.S.
He has.
He's off the plane.
Yes, and now he's facing the final hurdle.
Oh, what's that?
Customs and immigration.
Oh, boy.
Which, as we know, can be a little intimidating.
It can be even for seasoned travelers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a whole mix of languages, different cultures, procedures.
Lots of signs.
So many signs.
And, maybe you don't understand what they all mean.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you've got to figure it out.
Yeah, so it's a real test
of
his adaptability and his communication skills.
For sure.
But remember, he's armed with this growing vocabulary.
Yeah.
And a newfound confidence.
From his chat with Sarah.
Exactly.
That was nice.
It was.
Little confidence booster.
And he's determined to make this trip a success.
I love that.
So I'm curious to see if he can apply all those techniques we talked about, like using context clues, relying on his active vocabulary.
To get his message across.
Exactly.
And see how he does.
Okay, so picture this. Alex steps off the plane into this bustling arrival hall.
Yeah.
And he's bombarded with sights and sounds.
Oh, I bet.
He sees signs in multiple languages.
Of course.
Hears announcements crackling over the loudspeaker.
Yeah.
And he feels that surge of adrenaline as he joins the queue for customs.
It's a long line.
It's a long line.
So while he's waiting, what do you think's going through his mind?
Well, I think this is where cultural awareness becomes super important.
Essential.
Even though, he's focused on his English skills.
Right.
It's also important to be mindful of the customs and social norms.
Of the country he's visiting.
Exactly.
So important.
Like even things like queuing etiquette.
Yes. No.
Cueing appropriate greetings, understanding nonverbal cues.
Totally.
All of that can make a big difference.
Oh, absolutely.
In how smoothly he navigates this whole process.
Right. And it's not just about, like, being polite.
It's about respect.
It is. It shows respect.
Yeah. And a willingness to engage.
With the culture.
With the culture.
Exactly. And those are the things that you can't learn from a textbook.
You can't.
You got to experience it.
You got to be there.
Yeah.
All right. So back to Alex.
He's in line.
He's in line.
Still waiting.
And he finally reaches the front of the line.
Okay, here we go.
The customs officer, a stern-looking man in uniform, greets him with a very curt passport, please.
All right. Moment of truth.
This is it.
Can you do it?
He takes a deep breath.
Okay, good.
Remembers those focused breathing techniques.
Excellent.
And confidently presents his passport.
Okay.
And his customs declaration form.
He's got all his documents?
He's got it all.
He's prepared.
He's ready.
Good for him.
The officer flips through his passport, scans the form, and then asks, what is the purpose of your visit to the United States?
Here we go.
And Alex takes a moment to process the question, taking his time.
And then, with a slight hesitation,
replies,
I am here to learn English and see new places.
He said it.
He did.
I'm so proud of him.
I know. And he used the correct grammar.
Yes, he did.
He remembered those verb tenses.
He's applying what he's learned.
Amazing.
It's amazing to see.
The officer nods, stamps the passport, and says,
what's he say?
Welcome to the United States.
Yay.
Enjoy your stay.
Yay.
And Alex, feeling this wave of relief and accomplishment, smiles and replies, thank you.
He did it.
He did it.
He made it.
He navigated the complexities
all those hurdles
of customs and immigration
successful
using his English skills.
I'm so impressed.
And think about what he's accomplished.
I know, it's amazing.
In just this short span of time.
Like from the moment he said goodbye to his family to now.
He's overcome his anxiety, engaged in some pretty meaningful conversations.
Yeah, with Sarah on the plane. And confidently handle
those official procedures.
Wow. All in a language that's still relatively new to him.
That's incredible.
It's inspiring.
It is. It's a testament to the power of stepping outside your comfort zone.
Totally.
Embracing those challenges.
Yeah.
And just believing in yourself.
You can do it.
You can communicate.
Even when you're not perfect.
Exactly. And, you know, his journey.
It's just beginning.
It is. He's in New York City.
Yes.
A world of opportunities awaits.
I can't wait to see what he does next.
Me neither.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Alex's adventure, let's take a moment to reflect on those valuable lessons.
What have we learned?
Well, we've seen how those small steps, like using context clues, practicing active vocabulary, can make a big difference.
They really can.
We've explored the importance of managing that anxiety, embracing mistakes.
As opportunities for growth.
Yes.
I love that.
And finding those supportive language partners.
Who can guide you and encourage you along the way.
Exactly.
So important.
But I think most importantly, we've been reminded that
what's that?
The journey of language learning is just as rewarding as the destination.
It really is.
It's about the connections we make, the experiences we have,
the people we meet,
and the personal growth.
It changes you.
That comes from stepping outside of our comfort zones.
Absolutely.
So if you're feeling inspired by Alex's story, and you want to embark on your own language learning adventure,
awesome.
Remember, the most important step is to just start.
Just start.
Start small.
Yeah.
Be patient with yourself.
You're going to make mistakes.
You are.
It's part of the process.
And enjoy the process.
Have fun with it.
Have fun.
That's what it's all about.
And who knows?
What?
Maybe someday we'll
we'll
be deep diving into your language learning journey.
That would be amazing.
I would love that.
Me too.